March. That's March 2025. And let me just check that I am live in the right place. First of all, I'm really hopeful that the signal is going to be better than last month, because it played around a lot last month and we don't want that. So let me just check that we are actually in the right place. Yeah, looks like it. If you are watching this on the replay, maybe in Facebook, or if you are watching it in YouTube, then this is a live class where I have sent a kit in the post to the participants, and they're going to be crafting along with me and making up these projects. So let's just pop that out so I can see what's going on. There we go, that's better. Okay, right. Evelyn, I think you need to turn your Wi-Fi off. I am hopeful, we will keep our fingers firmly crossed, that the signal is going to bear with us. So, if you are joining me live, then do hop into the comments and say hi. That would be wonderful. I would love to know who's here, and also let me know if you're crafting along with me as well. That would be great too. So I can know who's keeping up with me and who's not, and if you're gonna craft on catch up as well and you're just watching tonight, let me know that too. That would be also really good. Fantastic. Okay, so we are going to be using tonight the Floral Delight suite. So it's from our spring mini catalogue. So I'll just find the pages for you. So it is, so Floral Delight starts on page 33 of the spring mini catalogue. Let me show you the page, there we go. So these are some of the beautiful cards that can be made from the suite, and I'll show you a few extras that I've made at the end of this evening as well, because I have made a few other designs. So it starts on page 33 of the catalogue, and it goes through all the elements of the suite, most of which, if you're joining me with a kit, you have got in your kit. Papers, beautiful papers. So we're going to be using the two different kinds of papers tonight. So we've got these patterned standard designer series papers. So they are ordinary kind of weight paper, double-sided, so patterns on both sides. Excuse me. And then we've also got these beautiful velum papers that we're going to be using tonight, and that's what we're going to mostly be using to pleat with. So showing you a different side to that. And then you've got a few more ideas, as we've got some lovely dies that go with this suite, which I will show you in a moment when I turn the camera down. So stamps and dies as well. So it goes all the way through to page 37. So there's loads of elements to this suite. If you are watching on the catch up and you've got a kit in the post, hi Sally, fabulous, lovely that you can join me. So if you're watching on catch up, or if you are watching live, in the email that I sent you with all your details and the link, you will have a set of measurements. If it's possible to download the set of measurements, you might want to do that, because you can then kind of craft at your own pace a bit quicker. So it gives you a photograph of each of the projects we're going to make, and then the scoring guide as well. So I'll be using that, following on myself, to make sure that I am making the same as you, basically. Okay, so what other things have I got to tell you? So important things to know. We are coming up to the end of March, and from April it's all kind of fast forward all through Easter with lots of things going on. So the first thing is that from the 9th of April, Stampin' Up! Is going to be changing the way that we reward customers and demonstrators. So from the 9th of April, for anybody that places an order that is over £20, you will earn individually for yourself 10% in Stampin' Up! Rewards that will be set in an account for you, and you can then spend in future purchases. So if you spend £20, you will earn £2 and so on. There's no upper limit. You can earn 10% of whatever your order value is. So that's brilliant. So that starts on the 9th of April. If you remember, I said that I was going to be stopping doing raffles because everybody's going to be getting rewards. Well, this is when it starts. The 12th of April, Saturday afternoon, 2 till 4:30. I've got a Super Saturday session. I still have a couple of places. I think there's 4 of us so far, so I've still got a couple of spaces at the table if you'd like to join us. There's 2 options. You can either do some blending brush crafting with me. So I've got a couple of these are going to be made up into cards. And I've also got an example with a scrapbook page as well. So the flowers here are all coloured using blending brushes and stencils. So it's a stencil blending brush technique class. So that's one of the choices of things that you can do with me. And you'll get a kit as well with that one with lots of papers and bits and pieces in it. And you can then make up cards or scrapbook pages with that. You can do what you like. Or alternatively, you can bring something that you're already working on yourself. So you can bring your own project if you want to, and just come and craft amongst friends. That's either option is good. And I've got a mixture of both people attending on the day already. So that's the 12th of April, 2 till 4:30 here at my house in Lechlade. If you would like to join me, I still have a couple of slots at the table. So do please let me know. Just let me know sooner rather than later, particularly if you want to do the blending class, because I'll need to order more kit for you. April is the last month for all of our catalogues that are current. So our annual catalogue and for our spring summer catalogue. So if there are things that you want from those catalogues and you've been waiting and waiting and waiting, this is your last chance. April is the last month that you'll be able to order those things from those 2 catalogues. And then in May, we will have a brand new annual catalogue. I've seen it digitally already. It has some amazing, fantastic things in there. For those of you who do craft fairs, there's loads of stuff in there that you can use in craft fair sales that is going to be brilliant. For those of you that love die cutting, there's some fantastic new dies in there. Big dies, little dies, loads of different things. Beautiful papers, absolutely stunning papers. Of course, there's stamp sets. There's also lots of scrapbooking, there's lots of card making. There's a really great mixture for everybody. And they've listened to a lot of the things that we said about the current annual catalogue when it launched a year ago, and we said we don't like this, we don't like that, we want it to come back. They've listened and they've changed things, so that's really good. So that will come out in May, the new catalogue. We've just had our annual conference. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go this year. It was in Strasbourg. I wished I'd been able to go, but I just couldn't make it this year. Next year it's in Cologne. So, and it's in March again, same time of year. So if anybody wants to come with me to Cologne, come and talk to me. That would be great. I would love some of my team to come with me. That would be wonderful. But they announced at the annual conference that there are going to be 2 big events that Stampin' Up! Are holding online worldwide, so anybody can join during this next 12 months. One is a whole weekend scrapbook retreat in July, and there'll be details coming out about that in May. And the second one is World Card Making Day, so that will be kind of a middle of the day kind of online crafting session. So if you don't want to come for a whole weekend, then maybe World Card Making Day is for you. And I will be running some similar events that go alongside that as well, and I intend to make those online events probably via Zoom or something so that we can all chat to each other as well. So watch this space. There's lots coming up basically later in the year. Okay, right, let's get on with some crafting, shall we? Hi mum. Oh, and hi Dee, fabulous. Had trouble getting through. Oh, and hi Liz, loads of you, wonderful. We are here. Okay, so I've done the news and events, so it might be worth you rewinding later on if you've had a challenge to get in, because there was a few more updates from our recent conference and events that are happening and things that are going on. Right, I'm going to turn all my lights on, and I am going to turn the camera down so that you can see what projects we're going to be making. And as I said before, if you haven't already and you are able to access either online or by printing the pleating measurements for tonight, then you might want to do that. If not, I am going to read them out, obviously, but you'll have them for making more cards in the future. But if you're somebody that likes to be able to look at the measurements while we're making, then you might want those instructions. Okay, camera's going down, so feel free to say hello to Evelyn on the way by. If I can get there we go. Hello, she's there. In her Ollie Murs sweatshirt, she is there. Okie dokie. Right then, so let's start with what you've got. So you will have a kit that includes a little bag of goodies, some die cuts, some embossing pieces, some ribbon, some teeny tiny little bees that are really cute. Oh, let's just bring that a bit forward so we've got what we're doing a bit more under the camera there. So yeah, some really cute little bees as well. So we're going to be using all of those. You've got 3 patterns of vellum. So you've got big flowers, little flowers, and a kind of gingham check. For those of you who've used vellum before and are thinking, oh my goodness, it's such a nightmare to use, vellum can be tricky. But patterned vellum is a lot easier to use than plain vellum. So I'll show you how to do that, and I will show you how to hide the glue and all those kind of things. You've then got your card bases already scored, good to go. You've got 4 card bases. We're going to be making 3 cards tonight, and the 4th card, I'll explain how to make it, but it's very simple, so you'll be able to make that on your own. And then you've also got a sheet of each, this is a half a sheet of each of these beautiful, beautiful yellow patterned papers. It's a mixture, if you're wondering about what the colours are, it's a mixture of Lemon Lolly and Daffodil Delight. So you've got a mix of both of those colours. And then the green is good old olive. So if I turn them over, you've also got the gingham again. You've got like a Hessian effect, a green Hessian. So you've got some really, really versatile papers. And you will have loads of the papers left over at the end of this evening. We are going to use them, but you will have lots left over as well. And I will show you some of the other projects that I've made using the leftovers from the papers as well. So what are we going to make? Let's have a look. I've got 4 pleated cards to show you. So this is going to be the first card that we're going to make. So this is using vellum, and it's kind of a big pleat with a cut-off angle. I've put one of my little butterflies on the bottom as well. We've got using the ribbon, and you'll notice that the vellum is only attached on the top there underneath the ribbon, and that is so that you can't see the glue underneath. So really quick and easy to make this, easily replicated with any patterned paper at all. Really, really easy. So that's card number 1. Card number 2 is this one. That I've added embossing behind it, and this is a box pleat. So if I turn it up that way, you'll be able to see that's what the pleat is. So if you're into sewing in any way, you're going to find the pleating very easy, I think, on these cards. If you're not into sewing, I still think you'll find this really easy. The measurements are almost identical on every card. It's just the way that you fold it that turns it into the different types of pleat. So, and again, all of these cards, you can, the pleating can be done using patterned papers. This is the 3rd one. So this one, the central point is in the middle, and we're pleating from the inside out to create this one. And I've added a little extra bit of strip of paper on the inside as well. So that one's really easy. That's using the patterned papers. And then this final one is the one that you're going to do on your own afterwards. The measurements are it's the first card on your sheet of printed measurements. We've got patterned paper at the top, pleated vellum at the bottom, but it's just back and forth, the pleating. So it's the easiest pleating. You've got your little wishing die cut. Your dies already have the sticky back adhesive sheet on the back. So that has already been stuck to the back. So you just need to peel it off, and then you can layer those dies up together to create your wishing symbol. So this is very like the sending dies that we had year before last, I think it was. So if you've got the sending dies, then your or the sending stamps, your sentiments will go with the wishing in the same way that the sending ones went. So we've got wishing you a happy birthday here, but your sending dies would be very similar sort of sentiments. So you could use those here. So this is the one that you're going to be making yourself, because it's literally just back and forth folding. It's not too complicated. So that one I will put to one side. And we're going to start with this one. So you're going to need, first off, you're going to need your old olive card base. It's already scored for you, so you just need to fold it and crease it. So that's your card base done. And then you are going to need a scoring tool of some description. So I'm going to use my trimmer. Evelyn's using the Stampin' Up scoreboard instead.
Inches or centimetres?
So this card is going to be in inches.
Is the scoreboard in inches?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So this one's going to be in inches. So if you've got the Stampin' Up trimmer, then it's the pale grey slide that you need for scoring. Now there are some golden rules with vellum. One of them is that you hide your glue marks, so I'll show you how to do that in a moment. But the second thing is that if you're scoring it, do not score it too heavily, because when you fold it, you will then find that it very easily splits if you're too rough with the scoring. Okay, so score it very lightly. Okay, so we're going to score the full length of this piece of vellum. So this is the 12-inch length. So with the long side at the top, let's get these two cards out of the way for a moment so that we've got plenty of space here. And you are going to need your extra long arm as well on the side here. Let me get my ruler out of the way too. Let's budge all of that out of the way. There we go. Okay, so while you're kind of getting yourself set up there, let me have a quick slurp of my tea. So you're going to need the long edge at the top of your scoreboard. Okay. Okay, and you will see this is the second card down on your sheet if you're following along from the measurements on the sheet. But your first measurement, and this is all in inches, is 1 3/4. So you are lining the edge of the vellum up against the 1 3/4 inch mark, and then just lightly score it down. Okay. So 1 3/4 inches, and then we're just going to move along, and I'm going to tell you where to line up this edge. Or if you're using a scoreboard, then you can just score it you keep it in the same place, but you score it the appropriate measurements as we go along. So the first measurement is 1 3/4 inches. Then move it along to 2 1/2 inches. And then 4 1/4 inch. And then 5 inches. And then this is why you need your long arm, 6 3/4 inches. And then 7 1/2 inches. And 9 1/4. And then your final score is at 10. Okay. Now, you will eventually need to cut a little bit off this side, but we won't worry about that too much at the moment. So you can fold your arm back in if you're using the scoreboard. So I'll read those score lines again for you in case you missed them. So we're scoring at 1 3/4 inches, 2 1/2 inches, 4 1/4 inches, 5, 6 3/4 inches, 7 1/2 inches, 9 1/4 inches, and 10 inches. Okay, and then we're going to fold it, starting with the left hand side, and this first piece of vellum before the score line is going to be on top. Okay, so you're going to fold the vellum back underneath along the score line, and the key thing here again is to make sure that you've got it lined up, and make sure that you crease it as you go along. So what did I just do with my bone folder? There it is. Because it makes it so much easier, it will lie so much flatter. So your first score line, you're folding back on itself. So the rest of the paper is underneath, and this is going to be your top piece, okay? So if, like me, you've got a flower at the end, then just remember that that's the far left edge, if you like. And then you're just going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth across the whole length of the paper, okay? And just making sure that each fold you line up the edges and you crease it using a bone folder. And what you will find is that that will then produce a really lovely deep pleat. And that's what we want. So your shorter measurements will go underneath, back on themselves. And your longer measurements form that lovely deep pleat. This pleat always reminds me of like a Edinburgh woolen mill kind of skirt, I think. Like a tartan skirt type thing, but one of those like a Mrs. Doubtfire kind of skirt, for those of you who are into those kind of things. That's what this reminds me of. Maybe we should call this the Mrs. Doubtfire pleat, or the Edinburgh woolen mill pleat. So we're just going to keep going back and forth all the way across. Keep using your bone folder or the edge of your scissors or whatever you use for creating lovely sharp creases. Keep doing that all the way across. And if you've been good and you haven't been too rough with the scoring, then you'll find that you get lovely sharp creases, but you won't get any tearing, which is exactly what you want. And then once you've, let me just get the card base in so that I'll show you because it'll stand out a bit more. Once you've done your pleating completed, you'll see that you've got these lovely deep pleats all the way across. Okay. So the next thing that you need to do is to cut this so that it's first layer size. So what you'll see is that you're going to need to trim off the edge a little bit. So top to bottom, this is a landscape card. Top to bottom, you've got a perfect little edge around it, so that is fine. You won't need to trim anything off top to bottom yet, but you do need to trim the edge off a little bit just so that it fits inside the frame of the card base, okay? So I am just going to trim that little edge off. I could see that it was right at the
Which side which bit would you recommend?
I would recommend you trim off the last piece that you pleated. Because, oh, can you open the bin, Evelyn, please? Thanks. So just the last end.
What size are we cutting?
So the right side of the pleat. So you're cutting it actually completely contradicting what we've just said. Oh no, actually I can. You're cutting it to 5 5/8 of an inch, or 14.3 centimetres is what you're cutting it to. So just trimming it off just that little bit, just so that it fits inside the base of the card. Okay, like that. So I'll just pause there a moment while Evelyn trims hers off, and also because I want to show you the next bit and make sure that everybody's still with me that is crafting along. Bring the original card back in, because then it will make sense what we're going to do next. So once you've got your piece of vellum pleated, and so that it fits the size of your card base with a little border around the outside, give me some thumbs up so I know I can explain the next bit. And you're going to need something to just measure with for the next bit as well. But if you haven't got a ruler, you can do it on your trimmer. It's just the same. Either way is fine. So yeah, just give me some thumbs up if you are at the same point as me before I move on. I think either nobody's crafting or the thumbs up button's stopped working, one or the other. Okay, so if you're at this point where you've got your pleating done and it fits inside the card, then the next thing to do is down the right hand side from the top, you're going to measure down 2 inches, and you're just going to make a little mark at 2 inches on the vellum, okay? So not too much of a mark, just a little mark on the vellum. And then, as you'll be able to see from my original card, you've got a slanting edge to this one, so it kind of creates that kind of slope up the card, and it goes from the corner of the bottom of the first pleat up to that mark that you've just made 2 inches down from the right hand edge. Okay, so you're going to cut in the trimmer or with scissors and a ruler, but you need to hold it really firm in the trimmer when you're doing it so that the pleats don't get kind of rucked up. But you're going to go from that bottom edge up to that 2 inch mark. So basically cutting a triangle out of the bottom edge of that vellum. Okay, so that is the next thing to do, is to just cut that little bit off. So I am going to put it in the trimmer with that 2 inch mark there, and then the where are we? There we go. And just make sure that you've got it right in the trimmer before you start cutting. Make sure it doesn't move when you put the trimmer arm back down, and hold it down really firmly over the top of the trimmer arm before you cut it, so that the vellum doesn't move around while you're cutting it, so that you don't get like a jagged edge or anything. And then when you take them out, you'll find you've got that little triangle that you can then remove and discard. Okay. And then once you've done that bit, you are going to need your ribbon out of your bag of bits. And I would also recommend some tape as well. If you haven't got tape, but you've got a snail or a seal instead, then that can work as well. But personally, I like to be a bit more in control of it, so I like to use the tape. So once you've got your vellum to look like this, you're then going to put on the back of it a bit of tape all the way across the top. Basically, it's going to be in the same place as where the ribbon is going to go. But it will also act to adhere this to the card and hold the pleats down as well. And then I have literally just done a very simple knot for my ribbon, but you can do a bow or what have you if you want to. In fact, let's see if I can do that, shall we? See if I can do a bow instead. You've got a lot of ribbon, so you should be able to tie a bow with it. And just see where it needs to go first before I... If you find this too fiddly, then you can peel off the backing of the tape and stick the ribbon to it first before you tie the bow. But if you are happy to kind of take the ribbon off after, then do that. It's probably a little bit tight actually. I might have just done that a little bit too tight. Like slacken it a bit, so I don't want my vellum to be rolling up. Just pull that out a little bit. There we go, that's better. And then pull, if you're using tape, pull the backing off the tape and you can stick your ribbon to it then. And if you feel you haven't got enough tape at that point to really keep it secure, then you can obviously add another bit of tape or a bit more seal or whatever you want over the top, because the ribbon is now on the front, so it will cover it up. It will hide it, is what I'm saying. So, and this is the key with vellum really, is that wherever you put glue, you've got to have something on the front of the glue, on the top, because otherwise you see the glue through it. So once you've got that tape or seal or whatever down, then just line it up again so that you've got that nice border all the way round and stick it down to the card. And then you can just trim your corners of your bow or knot, whichever you've done. And then for my sentiment, I have just used one of the sentiments from the stamp set without the wishing. You could add the wishing if you wanted to, but so this is the stamp set, Delightful Wishes. So we've got wishing, you were here, you all the best, you a happy birthday, lots of love, and you well. So I just chose the happy birthday and literally just stamped the happy birthday. And then the die set, here we go, has an actual banner that you can use to stamp out, to cut out that die. The dies are absolutely beautiful. You've got a branch, you've got lots of little combinations of flowers and leaves that you can make up. You've got this one here which cuts out, so it doesn't cut the border around the outside, so it kind of creates little holes that look like flowers in your card. You've got this one that cuts out the stamped flowers in the stamp set, and then you've got these two that layer to make the wishing that you've got in your kit. So lots of really cute little dies actually. So I will stamp and cut that out later. Give that to Evelyn in case she wants to do any stamping or anything.
A pair of scissors, please. I've left mine upstairs.
Yeah, sure. Oh, do you want a pair out the drawer? Hold on. She's left her scissors upstairs. Bear with a minute. There we go. Have those. Right. So, yeah. And then, as I said, I just used one of my little butterflies in the bottom corner here. I really love these little butterflies. You get, let me just see, how many do you get in the pack? You get like hundreds of these. Bees, sorry, not butterflies. What am I talking about? Bees. You get, how many do you get? Does it tell us how many you get in this? How many pieces? No, can't see. Oh, 40. 40 little bees. They're so cute. Love them. Love them, love them, love them. So that's your first card. I just need to add my sentiment to the bottom corner there. So if you've got on okay with that, give me some thumbs up. Like I said, you can use this pleating technique. You've got all the measurements in the email, and there's a link to the measurement sheet in your email. And you can use it with any patterned paper. So it's really easy to use and make really effective, kind of really dimensional cards, but that are flat enough to go in a standard envelope as well. Because the vellum isn't raised, it will fit inside a standard envelope at normal prices if you're posting. So it's really, really easy to do.
And is this to Stampin?
No. So you should have, good question. You might have a couple of little strips of white card, of little kind of strips in your kit as well, which is just offcuts from the cutting process. Feel free to use those for your sentiments if you want to. So, okay, fabulous. Right, that's the first one then. Let me just put that away and we'll find the second one that we're going to do is the box pleat. So we're kind of stepping up a bit. The measurements are really not too dissimilar at all, but it's the way that you fold it that makes the difference, okay? So I'm going to draw on my grid paper what you want the pleats to look like, okay? So, and then we'll go through the measurements. So your pleats are going to look, if you held them up on the side, your pleats are going to look like this. So it's going to go up, down, down, up, like that. Okay, and you will have 3 complete raised sections and 1 raised section without another end to it, and 1 bottom section without an end to it. Okay, so 3 raised bits, 3 flat bits, bottom bits if you like, and 2 ends that don't have an edge on them. So when you hold it on the side, as in when you hold it up like that, that is what your box pleating is going to look like. Okay? Right, so what do we need? So the first thing we need is going to be your pool party card base. Just fold that over and crease it as usual. And this time you can straight away add your embossed layer. So I have chosen the white embossed layer out of your little bag of goodies. It's kind of got like an eyelet pattern on it. So that should be cut already to the right size. So you can just stick that straight down onto your card front. So I'm just going to whack that on with some wet glue. It just goes straight onto your card front, and then you can just let that firm up while we are making the pleating. And again, it's got the usual kind of little border around the outside for neatness. There we go. And then you're going to need your piece of vellum again, and also we're going to need to put your, so put this card to one side while you're doing it, because you're just going to need your vellum and your trimmer. Okay, so let's get the trimmer in. Same as before, you're going to need to use your extra long arm, because we're going to pleat the whole length of the 12 by 12, the 12 by inch paper. And you can trim the vellum down this time to start with. So if you put the short side in the top, you can trim it down to begin with to 3 inches wide. So we're going to use the whole 12-inch length, but we're going to just trim it to 3 inches wide. So you've then got another strip of vellum that you can do something else with. You can maybe stick it as a card inside the card, or you can do something different with that bit. So that's a bit of spare. Evelyn, let me just lend you the trimmer a minute actually. If you cut yours down and then we'll start scoring. And then you're going to be pleating and creating this pattern across the length.
So 3 inches.
Yeah. So this is the 3rd card down on your sheet. So the measurements for this card is right at the bottom of the first page, this one. And you're going to be scoring, again gently, don't forget, because it's vellum, but you're going to be scoring every 1 inch followed by ½ an inch. So 1 inch, ½ an inch, 1 inch, ½ an inch, 1 inch, ½ an inch. Or if you want to do it in centimetres, it's 2 centimetres followed by 1 centimetre. So I will read out the measurements as we go, provided I can work them out and remember what they are. But if you're doing it again, the instructions are there for you. Okay, so we're going to start with 1 inch. Now, top tip, if you're using the trimmer rather than a scoreboard, then for a start, get your cutting blade out of the way, but you've got measurements to the right of the trimmer as well. And when you're measuring anything up to 1.25 inches, it's really good idea to measure it to the right instead of to the left to begin with, and then turn your paper round, because you've then got the whole length of your scoreboard to be able to stabilize the paper, and especially kind of slippery vellum like this is a really good trick. So I'm going to score to the right 1 inch, and then I'm going to turn the paper around, and the rest I'm going to score across the length to the left. So we started with 1 inch, so we've got to score at 1 inch. And then we're going for 1.5 inches next.
Is it meant to be a teeny tiny gap?
Yep, it's a teeny tiny gap, as Evelyn says. So it's 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2.5 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, 4.5 inches, 5.5 inches, 6 inches. I think that was a ½ inch, wasn't it? Yeah. 7 inches, 7.5, 8.5, 9, 10, where are we up to? That was an inch. 10.5, and then it will be 11.5, and then if you cut instead of scoring at 11.5, you'll find that you'll have enough paper. So you've scored at 1 inch, another ½ an inch, so 1, 1.5, 2.5, 3, 4, 4.5, 5.5, 6, 7, 7.5, 8.5, 9, 10, and 10.5, and then cut it off at 11.5. Okay. And then you're going to fold it so that it creates this pattern. And that will create your box pleats then. So each time, just like the first one that we did, just make sure that your edges are nice and flush before you bone folder the crease. So we're going to go over and back like we did the first time. And then, I've got to remember to get this around the right way now. Then we're going, so we've got, well, if we got like that, and then we're going to go back that way. And back. And then, do you want the card open? So you can see, there we go. So this is, it's a bit fiddly, but honestly it's worth it. And you can kind of see it forming as you go along as well. So once you've kind of got the idea of it, it will, like once you've done the first few, then it kind of makes sense then. Like I said before, if you're a seamstress of any sort, then you, or if you're at all into sewing, you will get this instantly. It will make sense to you, I am sure. But this is exactly the same measurements as the card that you're going to be making on your own. The only difference is that instead of creating a box pleat with it, you're just going to do a straightforward back and forth pleat. So that will make it a lot easier. And once you've finished it, just go on the back and just make sure all your pleats are nice and flat and neat. And you will then have your box pleat. And it will be lying nice and flat. And when you kind of pull it apart a little bit, you will have a box pleat that looks exactly like, hopefully, she says, exactly like my drawing there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Once you've got your box pleat, turn it over and you're going to stick a strip of tape all the way across the centre to hold it in place, so that all those pleats stay together. You might find that this curls up a bit when you, there you go, it's starting to curl up over the edges, but that's okay because it will flatten down again as soon as you stick it onto the card. So you can then bring in your card base with the embossed piece already on it, peel off your tape, and it's just going to go in the centre of your card. And because you've only stuck the back, you'll find that your pleats will actually can pop up a little bit. So you can get a little bit of height with your pleats. You can just pull them up a little bit and they'll get a little, give you a little bit of height there. So if you're just going to hand give it, you can pull your pleats up as much as you want, really. Because it's the folds on the back that have got the tape on them, not the pleats. Okay. And then, adding to this, you are going to add your little flower that is currently in pieces in your bag. So you've got a lemon lolly pale base, and you've got this darker daffodil delight centre. And what you need to do is just kind of work out roughly where it goes to line it up. take the backing off of the darker centre, which is a bit fiddly, so I'm going to poke it with my pokey tool to get that backing off. If you've not done this before, by the way, this is a really good trick as well. Using your pokey tool and poking it into the peel off bit of the back. It works for anything that you've got a peel off element to the back of. And then it just comes off really easily. Whoop. And then I'm just going to stick that down over the top there. So that gives me my flower centre. And then on my original card, I had all the best across my card. In fact, I've got you all the best, as it was wishing you all the best. So I better put a wishing on the top of there, I think, haven't I? I'll use my wishing over the top of that, but you can put happy birthday or whatever you like. But just remember what I was saying before about the tape. If you can see the tape from behind your vellum, then you need to stick your sentiment over the top so that it disguises it. So I am going to stick my wishing that I've already joined together over the top of this one, so that it makes sense then, because it doesn't make too much sense otherwise. Where should we stick it? Stick it on there. Okay, that's better.
Ink off the desk.
Good. So that one will go on there, and then I will stamp another sentiment to go with that one. Right, let's stick some tape at the back of there, and then it can. So your pale yellow flower doesn't have any tape or anything on the back of it. It doesn't have a peel off on it. You just need to put a bit of glue or something on the back of there to keep it in place. And that's then the second one done. And again, if you want to add one of your little bees, you can, or you can save it for the next card, whatever you like. We've got a couple more spare in here, so I think I've got Evelyn's bees as well, but fortunately we've got some spares, so we'll add that one as well. I don't know, where did you put the pot of bees? Oh, there it is. Have you got the glue over there?
Yeah, sorry.
That's right. Just think, where's my tweezers? I need the tweezers for the bees because they're so tiny. Stick that behind there we go, that's better. You can read all the best bit. I'll stick a bee on that one. I like to use the bees for the dots on the eyes. I think that looks really cute. Just need to hold them down for a minute with the wet glue. There we go, I've got 2 little bees left. Let's stick them up there so I don't lose them. Okay, so how is everyone getting on with their box pleating? Is it working? Or have you given up and gone back to the same pleat that we did just now? How's everybody doing? Yeah, oh, we got some thumbs up, that's good. It's good, it's good. Excellent, okay, well that's really good. That's really good news, okay. So, that is our second card. And then the final one that we're going to make all together is going to be this one. Lots of love. But I'll just pause there for a moment and I'll just show you a couple of other cards that I've made using this suite of papers. So I want to show you this one, which I will write up the instructions for, and I will share it. So this card is really popular on social media and stuff at the moment. It's called a floating bandstand card. So I'm going to show you the floating element is obviously the words and the sentiment and the flowers, because it is literally floating, well, kind of literally floating. As you can see, it's stuck on a window sheet. And the bandstand element is because if I stand it up, you can see that it forms the shape of a bandstand when it's standing up. So this card is made from a single sheet of A4 white cardstock or coloured cardstock. It's literally just some scoring and then cutting a hole out of the middle, and then remembering to put the seal, the seam of the card, to make it into that bandstand shape. Remembering to put the seam on the back. That's the biggest thing you have to remember with this card. But this card is super simple to make. It's so simple that I taught Mum how to make this card on Zoom on Saturday. So it's definitely really easy to make, because we made them together, just with me kind of showing her over Zoom and stuff. So I will either do a video or I will write out the instructions for this so that you can see how to make it. It's really easy and it's really effective. And it's a brilliant way to use up some of the patterns papers that maybe are a bit plainer, because you really need sort of a plain on the front so that the person looking at it, their eye goes through the wording to the back of the card. Great way to showcase those lovely papers that maybe you really like and you don't really want to chop up. So that's a different design. And I've got a couple of other designs. When I turn the camera around in a moment, there's a few more behind me on the shelf as well, so you can see some more ideas for using these papers up. And as I said at the beginning, there's 4 pages of ideas in the catalogue. It's in the spring summer mini, so you've got loads of design ideas in there for these papers as well. Okay, so let's go for the final one that we're going to make tonight. Is this card, which is like a centerfold diamond pleat. It's really easy to do if you do it in the right order. So we are going to pleat, score, and we're going to score, cut, pleat. Score, cut, pleat. That's the order we're going to do it in, okay? It doesn't work if you do it in any other order. Okay. So what you need is the paler of your 2 yellow cards. This is Lemon Lolly, and you're going to fold it over and crease it just like normal. And just like the last card, you've got an embossed layer, and that can go straight down onto the card. So just check that it's the right size. Yes, it is. I couldn't remember if I trimmed these or not. And then whack some glue on it and get that flat down onto your card base. And then that can be setting while we're doing the pleating. Okay. So you could put this on 3D pads if you wanted to, but you might find it's then too deep to go into a standard envelope with standard postage. So you might prefer to stick it flat like I am so that it could go in the post. Okay. Once you've done that bit, added your embossed layer, you can put that to one side. Get your scoreboard back out again, and this time we need to find a piece of patterned paper. So obviously you can use any of the patterned papers that you have got in your kit, but I will show you the pattern that I use. So I think these big chrysanthemums, I think they're too big personally. That one's quite pretty. I think that would look quite nice. That would look nice. That would look nice, but I've used this one that looks a bit like Forsythia, if you're a gardener. This one here. And if you love this, do not worry, because you are still going to have some left when we cut it up. Because you're going to start, once you've chosen your piece of paper, and again, this is all in inches, you're going to start by cutting it down so that your piece measures 9.5 inches along the length. So 9.5 inches. So you've still got a really reasonable size piece that you can make another card with. So 9.5 inches by 5 inches. So that's what you want first. And again, you've got another strip here. I used this strip to put an insert inside mine. Hang on. There we go. So I think it's on this one. Yeah. So I used this strip, the spare strip, to put down the bottom on the inside of the card so that I didn't waste any of it. You could also use it obviously to make your envelope pretty as well, that you're going to send. So again, I'm going to show you a drawing of what this is going to look like once we've finished it. Okay, so we are going to, it's 9.5 by 5 inches. So I'm going to show you what it's going to look like when we finish, but we are going to pleat it first. But then once we've pleated it, we're going to cut it so that it creates the sloping sides. And at that point, it is going to look something like this. It's a bit of a weird shape. So it's kind of going to look like a kind of lopsided, what is it? What did we agree? Octagon, I think we said today when we were doing it in the daytime class. Yes. Somebody who was clever at maths told me that that's what it is. So. But anyway, so that's what it's going to look like eventually, but we're going to do the pleating first, okay? So same again, you're going to need your side arm. And we're going to score at 3/4 of an inch to begin with. So I'm going to do the 3/4 of an inch on the right hand side, and then I'm going to flip the paper around. So 3/4 of an inch, 1.25 inches. Again, these measurements are on the second page of the instructions that I sent you. Then I'm going to turn it round so that I can then keep going the other way. So 3/4 of an inch, 1.25 inches, 2.25 inches, 2 3/4 of an inch, 3 3/4 of an inch, 4 1/4 inches, 5 1/4 inches. Oh, excuse me. So the last, excuse me, the last measurement was 5 1/4 inches, and then 5 3/4 of an inch, and then 6 3/4, 7 1/4, 8 1/4, and your final one is 8 3/4. So I'll read those out again in a minute. Okay, so your scores are, this is all in inches, 3/4, 1 1/4, 2 1/4, 2 3/4, 3 3/4, 4 1/4, 5 1/4, 5 3/4, 6 3/4, 7 1/4, 8 1/4, and 8 3/4. Okay, And then you can put away your sidearm then. You're then going to turn your patterned paper around so that you've got the short side at the top. And you are going to mark your patterned paper at the top and the bottom at 2 measurements. So I'm actually going to get a pencil for this so that I don't make too much of a mark and so that I've got a really nice sharp tip. So you're going to put your patterned paper in and measure up to 2 inches. So put it in at 2 inches. And then where the track is, you're going to put a little mark, top and bottom. Okay, so that's 2 inches. And then you're going to move it along to 3 inches and do the same. So again, put a little mark, top and bottom, but not too visible. So if I show you on the back where it's less visible, you've got a mark, and I can make the mark a bit more obvious then. So you've got a mark at 2 inches, top and bottom, and you've got a mark at 3 inches, top and bottom. So that's what it will look like when you've finished. You'll have a little mark at the top at 2 inches and 3 inches, and a mark at the bottom at 2 inches and 3 inches. Okay? Okay. Once you've got those marks, turn your piece of paper over again, and you need to work out which is the middle column in your scoring. It will be a wide column, and it needs to be the central one, so the one that's right in the middle. And what you're going to do is you're going to go from your pencil mark to the bottom corner cutting so that you then make that odd shape. So I'll show you, okay? And the same on the top. So let's go from that top outer corner of that center column, and I'm going from there, I'm going to cut from there to the 2 inch mark on my paper. So I'm going to make sure that that is on the track, and so is the, and if it's easier to cut with scissors, then do. So that's the piece that I'm cutting off. So that's gone from the top corner of that center column to the 2 inch mark. And I'm going to do the same on the bottom. So from the 3 inch mark to the bottom corner of that central column. So I've now got those 2 pieces chopped out, and I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So going from that corner of the central column, so you're not cutting that center column at all. That bit stays intact, that column, but you're going from the outer corner down to the 2 inch mark, and from the bottom corner, outer corner, to the 3 inch mark. And so you'll be left then with 4 little triangles. Okay, so make sure you've got the right mark, and make sure that the mark and you've got the right score line before you cut. Check twice, cut once, so that you do not get it wrong, because that is the last thing that you want to do, is to chop the wrong bit. So let me just pass that over to Evelyn in a minute, the scoreboard. And then you will have, look, my drawing is absolutely identical to the finished cut out piece, look. There we go. So that is what you want your piece to look like once you've cut it, okay? I'll pause there a moment while Evelyn does her cutting, and that'll give anybody a chance to kind of catch up as well. So on your instructions, you've got a nice big visual of the card. You've got all the markings down the bottom here, but you've also got like a kind of picture of what the what it's supposed to look like when you've cut it out as well. So you've got like a shape so that you can see what it's meant to actually look like when you cut it out. Okay, so all of that is on your instructions, so that's should be fine. And again, it makes it nice and easy to repeat this. And then once you start doing the folding, you're going to leave that center column intact. That lies flat on the card, and you're going to concertina going out this way and concertina going out that way. Okay. Excuse me. Your first fold is in to the card on both sides. So line it up. And remember to crease it, and then you just keep folding back and forth across the card, and you'll get that lovely pleated effect. Just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you'll get that pleated effect. Just make sure you're actually creasing on the fold. And once you've done one side that looks like that, you can then start and do exactly the same on the opposite side. So pleating in first and out, and creasing as you go along, and in and out, and in and out. And then, right, let me I'm just going to flip my grid paper over so you've got a plain surface to see. There we go. Then you've got your lovely pleat that looks like that. And you'll see that it lines up beautifully down the middle there. If your measuring and scoring has been spot on, then it lines up beautifully down the centre. And the same thing again, turn it over. You actually can see that there's a really lovely pleat on the back as well, actually. That would be another design to do, is to pleat it but use the reverse side, because that looks really pretty as well. But what you're going to do is stick a piece of tape again across the middle there, because then that holds all the pleats in place. It's just like sewing, isn't it? And then it curls back up again. And then once you've taken the cover for that tape off, you can stick a bit more on. So you can either put glue or you can put a bit more tape on the corners or whatever. I'm just going to do the top and the bottom because I do think it needs something to kind of hold it in place once you've stuck it on the card. Bring your card in, your card front, and then make sure it's opened out nicely before you stick it down, and then you can just stick it flat onto the card. And then just like I did on my original one, if you feel that the middle is springing up a bit too much for your liking, I've stuck my sentiment bar right across the middle so that it holds these pleats down. I do think it looks quite nice with the pleats popping up a little bit, if you're not going to shove it in the post, because they'll charge you the earth to just have that extra little bit of height. But I personally think it does look quite nice with that little bit of dimension to it. But if you don't like that, or you are going to post it, then it's probably worth putting a sentiment banner across the middle so that it just holds it flat. Okay. And that is that one, apart from that little strip inside. So all I've done there is literally just kind of taken a tiny strip, chopped it off using scissors, didn't even put this in the trimmer, certainly didn't measure it, looking at how much I want, and just gluing it down. I think I need some more glue as well. I'm running out here. Come on. The other thing, just to mention, thinking back to the new catalogue coming out as well, is that there are some price increases in some of the basics in the catalogue this time. You probably won't be surprised at that because everything is going up in price due to kind of supply issues and manufacturing costs and tariffs and such like. So if you have basics like coloured cardstock from Stampin' Up, envelopes, all those kind of basic stuff, but particularly coloured cardstock or white cardstock, then I would suggest you stock up now if you can, because you will find that quite a lot of those basics, like I say, are going up in price, and you might, I've certainly gone through all my colours and refreshed them all with a new stack. I definitely need some more glue because yeah, I know that they're going to be going up in price. So if that's something that you would do anyway, then it's definitely worth stocking up now. Okay, so that's the final one that we're going to make tonight. So let me bring in all the ones that we have made tonight. Where's the other one? And then this one is the one that we didn't make, but it's very easy to do. So your pleat across the bottom here is back and forth, back and forth. In your kit, you have a single piece of white card. The vellum and the patterned paper are stuck onto the white card before they're added to the card base. And the reason for that is because the vellum, the blue vellum, doesn't look so good against the yellow card. So use this as an interim, an in-between layer, if you like, for your blue vellum. And then I've added the wishing and a sentiment at the bottom. So I've got wishing you a happy birthday and a couple of little bees. So there we go. So that is our 4 projects for tonight. Now there's one more thing that I want to show you before we finish tonight, and that is what we're going to be doing next month. So next month, as it's the last month of the catalogues, I wanted to do another really popular one from this catalogue, which is, if I can find the front page for it, which is Storybook Moments. It's kind of like the little Peter Rabbit characters, and the papers are to die for. So you've got, and I'll show you a sample in a moment. So you've got lots of patterned papers. You've also got a sheet of die cut pieces. So all the characters are already die cut. No, it's this one, already die cut for you. So you've got squirrels, you've got little lambs, you've got cats, you've got ducklings, badgers. It's all kind of the kind of Beatrix Potter type characters. But then you've also got this suite of beautiful gingham checks as well. Each is double-sided. You've got different colours in each of those gingham checks. So that is what we're going to be using to make in April. So I thought, let me just clear those cards for a moment. I thought I would just show you a couple of examples. So I've done a bandstand card using that suite as well. You've also got, the papers have the little houses, little cottage houses and little cottage garden scenes on them as well, which is super cute. And then this, the little squirrel is one of the characters, so he's really cute. And this is the gingham checks. So that's one of the cards. And I will show you, let me show you some more. You are going to be getting enough papers in your kit to make everything that you see and more. So I'll just put a kind of scattering of them down. So we've got gardening cards, little welly boots, there's little sun hats, there's little baskets, flowers, vegetables, all kinds of things. So here are some of the examples. There's the little cottage garden. So loads of different designs. So everything that you can see in that pile and more will be what you'll get in your kit. You'll get both. You'll get the ginghams and the patterned papers, well, all of them, and the die cuts. So you're going to get loads and loads and loads. And I'm going to be showing you 2 techniques. One technique is going to be showing you how you can make the most out of these die cut pieces, along with some torn paper techniques. And then the second technique is going to be making a faux book, which I think you will love. It's a card, but it looks like a book. So that is going to be what we are going to be doing for April, and that will be the last card club for this current catalogue period. So I really hope you can join me. Hope you've enjoyed tonight. There will be an email coming out tomorrow, obviously, with all the links to book for April Card Club. If you've already had the booking form with the Super Saturday for the 12th of April, it's the same booking form, so you can go back into there if you think, oh, I've got to do it tonight before I forget that's what I want to do. As always, if you can't make it on the night, don't worry, it will be recorded, it will be saved in YouTube. You don't have to have a YouTube account to be able to view it. You can just click the link and go straight through from my website or from the emails that I send out to you. So you can always go back and recreate it. Don't forget also, you have got the instructions on the email that I sent on Tuesday, so you can redo these cards time and again if you want to. And I'll put a post on in a moment in the Facebook group. I'd love it if you would share photos of what you've made, because everybody makes things slightly differently and layers things and uses different card backgrounds and stuff. So it'd be great to see what you've made with different sentiments and all that stuff. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.